What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out a brand new e-bike from JANSNO. The one that we have here today is called the X50 and this is potentially the most affordable fat tire e-bike that you can buy. I don't think there is any other e-bike out there that's as affordable as this one, that offers as much as this one offers. So with this one we get 20-inch wheels on the front and on the back, and we also have 4-inch wide tires, so the fat tires as they're called. This bike is powered by a 750-watt motor that's located in the rear wheel here, so plenty of power. We also have a front and rear suspension and a very comfortable seat. With that being said, let's start by doing a bit of an unboxing just so I can show you what comes in the box with this and what you have to do to get this ready and on the road. Alright, so as you'd expect, the bike comes in a pretty big box. The box is also pretty heavy, but that's mostly because the bike itself is heavy. So you're looking at about 40 kilos, so it's not going to be easy to carry this bike around. Now, the bike does come packed really well in the box, so it's not going to get damaged during transportation, but you do have to do a bit of an installation. So first of all, you have to put the front wheel together, you have to put the handlebar together, you have to put the front light together, the signals on the front there. You also have to install the battery and the front mudguard. All in, it's gonna take you about 45 minutes to get this ready and on the road. Talking about mudguards, yes, we have a mudguard on the front and one on the back. Now, these are made out of plastic. They don't really do any noise whenever you're riding, but look how they move whenever you're riding or whenever it's windy. So I don't really like that look with the mudguards just moving around constantly. All right, so we have a rear suspension here and of course a front suspension. The front suspension has about 2 inches of travel, so that one definitely helps when you go over bumps, if you jump a curve or something like that. But the rear suspension doesn't seem to do that much. So even when you're sitting on the bike, it doesn't really move that much. Maybe if you're jumping something, it will make more sense, but as like day-to-day riding, you're not really gonna feel that rear shock there. Now, the seat here is got a lot of padding, so it's a very nice wide seat. Now, unfortunately, you cannot move the seat in height. So this is the height where the seat will stay forever, so you cannot make it higher or lower. But because you can kind of adjust the handlebar here, so the handlebar can stay a bit tilted forward or backwards. So you can kind of position it so you have the most comfortable riding position. So overall, the riding position, as I have it set on this bike, is pretty comfortable and I can actually sit pretty straight on the bike. So overall, it is more comfortable than the other model that I tried, I don't know, a few weeks ago that had a similar look, but to the other one, I didn't feel as comfortable whenever I was riding. As I mentioned earlier, on the front here and of course on the back, we have 20-inch wheels. So these are spoked wheels. Most other bikes that I've tried, at least this kind of type of bike, don't typically get spoked wheels. And I don't mind spoked wheels as long as the wheels are actually balanced. In the case of this bike, the rear wheel is nicely balanced, but the front wheel is a total disaster. So when you're riding, the front wheel does something like this, and that makes the entire ride shake. So whenever you're riding, you're basically kind of riding like this. Of course, that is adjustable, so I'm gonna be adjusting that in the near future. But when you first get the bike out of the box, this shouldn't happen because, well, you paid all that money and it's not great to get the bike out of the box that's all wobbly. So that is a downside to having these spoked wheels on this bike. Now, the bike has mechanical disc brakes on the back and of course on the front. I'm happy to say that the disc brakes don't actually make any noise. So whenever you're riding, they don't squeak or make any crazy noises. And the stopping power for this kind of bike is also pretty good. So the top speed for this bike out of the box is 25 kilometers an hour. I believe you can also unlock this and it goes up to 45 kilometers an hour. But personally, I've left it as it comes out of the box, so at 25 kilometers an hour. With that 750-watt motor that we have inside the rear wheel there, you also have plenty of power in pretty much any situation. So if you're riding on a flat surface like this, the bike will reach its top speed no problem. As I said, I have mine set at 25 kilometers an hour, so I didn't actually unlock it to see how it goes at 45 kilometers an hour, but mostly because my front wheel is quite wobbly. so I don't feel that safe to do that. But if that wouldn't be the case, I would have probably unlocked it. Now, since we have a 7-gear Shimano shifter as well, you can also shift gears, so you can also take this bike up hills. And since we have that 750-watt motor, no problems whatsoever going uphill. So of course, you're gonna have to pedal a bit, but overall it does well on flat surfaces and on hills. All right, so next we have a quick uphill climbing test. So I have the throttle enabled. We'll see how far the bike can actually take us. With a 750-watt motor, you shouldn't have problems up hills like on this hill, because when you start pedaling, of course, the bike will also help you. So it's not actually difficult going uphill with a bike like this. So 750 watts is what you should get if you have hills wherever you're riding your bike. The shifter is an entry-level Shimano shifter, however, it does work great whenever you're shifting up or down gears, so you don't actually have to adjust that in any way. Now, the battery pack is located on the frame here. This is also removable, so we do have a couple of keys that come with the bike in the box, so you can actually remove the battery pack, and you can also charge this in a different place than the bike, so you can charge it upstairs, for example. It takes about 8 hours to charge that battery pack, and on one charge, depending how you ride the bike, because this really depends on many factors, you can get between 40 and 60 kilometers of range, I'm gonna say. Now, maybe a bit less if you're a bit heavier, maybe a bit less if it's colder out, and so on. Not to mention that this is not the largest capacity battery out there. But overall, you should easily get about 30 to 40 kilometers on one charge, mostly if you don't like pedaling. Moving to the front of the bike, here we have a massive light. The bike kind of looks like a motorcycle with the light that we have here on the front. Now, unfortunately, there is no daytime running lights, so you can have that on or off, but whenever you have it on, it's visible during the day, and of course, very bright at night as well. We also have signals on the right and on the left here, and we have signals on the back as well. So the switch for the signals for left and right is right here. So you can kind of signal if you're going left, right, and so on. And the rear light here also acts as a brake light. So whenever you press the brake levers here, that will light up a bit more. Moving to the handlebar is nice and wide, so whenever you're riding, you don't feel cramped at all. And as I mentioned earlier, you can kind of position this so it's closer or further away from you. So you can kind of change your riding position based on your needs. The grips here are made out of rubber. They don't seem to move at all. On the left-hand side, here we have a few buttons. I'll show you how the horn works. So pretty loud horn as well. Here we have the button so we can turn on or off the light, and then we have the display right here on the left. So the display, even though there is nothing special about the display, but you can clearly see it on any basically conditions. So it doesn't matter if it's sunny or if it's not sunny, you're always going to be able to see that display. So definitely a good thing. The brake levers are made out of plastic, and on the right hand side here we have the ignition. So you can actually turn on and off the bike with a key. So that's very important, because this way people aren't going to steal your bike. So I'm very happy to see that. And here we have the shifter. All right, so let me quickly show you how you'd use this bike. So we have the ignition key right here. So you power that on. Then we have the power button right here. You hold this pressed for a couple of seconds, and then the bike turns on. That easy. The next thing you want to do is change the assistance level. So we'll go in assistance level 2. I'm not sure if you can actually see the screen on the camera. And basically you can start pedaling, or we have the throttle right here. So you can accelerate just with the throttle. Let me move the camera lower a bit. So first I'm going to start accelerating with the throttle here. So that's simple, you just use the throttle, and you don't actually have to pedal if you don't want to, but you can also start pedaling, and if you start pedaling, the bike will sense that you're moving, and it will start assisting you. So like any other bike that has a speed sensor. We'll do a brake test shortly. So 20 kilometers an hour, 25. So you can definitely stop fairly quick. we'll go left here and we'll do another brake test. So from about 25 kilometers an hour. So once again 25 kilometers an hour, and we are gonna brake. So the brakes do work quite well, and I'm also happy that the brakes don't make that much noise. However, the front wheel is not balanced very well, so I'm not sure if you can tell, but the whole bike kind of shakes. So I'm gonna have to balance that front wheel a bit. So that easy to basically use this bike. So to quickly conclude this video, for its price, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, this is one of the most affordable fat tire bikes out there. For the price, it does offer a lot of value. We have a powerful motor, we have 20-inch fat tire wheels as they are called, we have a front and rear suspension, we have mechanical disc brakes. So overall, it does offer really good value for the money, but in my case, with the front wheel that's kind of wobbly, that was a bit of a disappointment regarding this bike. Everything else I kind of like. Even though the seat is not adjustable in height, you can still get a pretty comfortable position. So if that front wheel would have been balanced properly, I would have been really happy with the value that we get from this bike. Alright guys, hopefully this video was useful. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.